They were trying to compel people to say he was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't say that about himself. Kobe Bryant didn't say that about himself. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't say that about himself. Bill Russell didn't say that about himself. Tim Duncan didn't say that about himself. Nobody said that. Nobody but him in his camp. Steph Curry hasn't said that about himself. Steph Curry has never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Ray Allen never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Reggie Miller never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Allen Houston never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Nobody called himself the greatest in anything but that man in his camp.
They point to other guys, as you know, and say, oh, wait. Kobe and Michael would say, wait a minute, he didn't win as many championships with Jerry West. Hold on, you better mention Kareem. They would all mention Bill Russell. So the notion that anyone is saying, I'm the greatest, there's one guy in the history of sports I give total pass to saying I'm the greatest, and that's where GOAT comes from, Muhammad Ali. He's the only one who gets to say, I'm the greatest. Ali invented the conversation. He was, and to me, still is the greatest because he didn't just change his sport. He didn't just change sports. He changed the world.
Changed society.
He changed the nation's position on war.
For years, the debate over the hardwood's ultimate king has scorched the airwaves, but a sudden pivot just flipped the script. Titans of the mic like Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, and Charles Tansey unified on air to tackle a toxic trend. The spectacle of LeBron James unilaterally anointing himself the greatest to ever lace up. These heavy hitters pulled zero punches, delivering a devastating truth bomb that left the pro-LeBron camp reeling in shock. By dissecting his rings and exposing the vanity of self-anointment, this trio surgically dismantled his carefully crafted reputation with cold precision. This broadcast serves as a harsh alarm for anyone who has swallowed the King James hype without scrutinizing the actual architecture and questionable methods of his long-standing career. Before we strip back the layers, smash that like button and subscribe to NBA Showdown for raw, unfiltered court insights. Charles Tansey kicks off the fire by amplifying the sharp and critical observations made by Stephen A. Smith's bold stance. The heart of the matter lies in the dubious way those championship rings were actually acquired. Tansey highlights how assembling superstar squads became a recurring theme for LeBron, posing a provocative hypothetical to the audience. Had Michael Jordan cherry-picked his teammates like that, would he be sitting on 10 championship trophies today? This breakdown shifts the focus from the sheer number of rings to the actual grit required to earn them. Manufactured super teams muddy the waters of pure competition, making us wonder if victory came from skill or backroom dealing. Strip away those hand-picked rosters, and LeBron's trophy case might look a lot thinner. That's the reality Tansey is unearthing. He's arguing that the path blazed by James lacks the rugged, uphill battle that defined the legendary Jordan era. In the realm of legends, the struggle to reach the summit is just as vital as the view from the top. Stephen A. let it slip that LeBron might not even crack the top 3 when you factor in his constant roster rigging. Essentially, while caught in the heat of debate, Stephen A. admitted his ranking was flawed, yet insisted MJ would have won 10 titles. That begs the ultimate question. How many banners would LeBron have hoisted if he'd stayed the course and fought alone? Smith then digs the knife deeper by critiquing the aggressive and calculated marketing machine behind the LeBron James brand. He claims the issue isn't his talent, but the way his inner circle is forcing the GOAT label down our throats. This relentless self-hype creates a massive gulf between James and quiet killers like Jordan, Kareem, Kobe, or even Steph. Those icons never felt the need to scream from the rooftops that they were the finest to ever play. They allowed their game to speak for them, whereas LeBron's self-anointed title has painted a massive target on his back. This goes beyond simple modesty. It's about honoring the sacred unwritten rules of basketball royalty and historical legacy. To Stephen A., true legendary status is earned through public awe, not pushed through a PR campaign like a consumer product. In his view, James stepped over the line by demanding the world bow down to his own manufactured narrative. Jordan never claimed the throne aloud. Kobe never demanded we call him the undisputed master of the court. Kareem, Bill Russell, and Tim Duncan all let their trophies do the talking without ever uttering a single boastful word. No one else in history has been this vocal except for James and his crew. Even Steph Curry stays humble. Curry doesn't call himself the premier marksman in history, nor did Ray Allen ever stake that claim in public. Even a legendary trash talker like Reggie Miller never explicitly crowned himself the king of the three-point line. Not one elite sniper ever demanded that title. Only James and his entourage seem obsessed with claiming the top spot. Michael Wilbon adds a layer of depth by recounting private chats he's had with the likes of Kobe and MJ. Wilbon reveals that neither legend ever boasted about being the best, even though they had the hardware to prove it. They consistently deferred to the giants who came before them, showing a deep, soulful respect for basketball's rich history. Historically, the only athlete who earned the right to call himself the greatest was the legendary Muhammad Ali. His claim wasn't just about his footwork in the ring, but the way he shook the very foundations of society. Ali's words were backed by real-world sacrifice and a revolutionary spirit that far transcended the small world of sports. Wilbon puts LeBron on the spot, questioning if his off-court impact truly justifies such an audacious and self-given title. It serves as a biting but necessary reality check, distinguishing mere sports stars from the figures who truly reshape history. To Wilbon, LeBron's ego might be his downfall, as his self-promotion insults the legends who let history decide their greatness. They'll signal toward the legends, knowing deep down that Kobe or Michael would instantly pause the music and demand respect. They'd remind you Jerry West was there, demand a seat for Kareem, and every single one would bow to Bill Russell. The very idea of crowning yourself is sacrilege, yet there's a lone figure in all of sports history I'd let slide. That is the birthplace of the greatest of all time title. Muhammad Ali is the sole king entitled to declare that. Ali didn't just join the dialogue, he authored it. For me, he remains the pinnacle because his impact transcended the ropes. He wasn't just a game changer. He was a world shifter who forced an entire superpower to rethink its stance on global combat. Now, Charles Tammany crashes back into the frame, delivering a brutal audit on how exactly LeBron's trophies were actually collected. He posits that when a superstar crafts artificial dynasties to secure gold, the true value of those rings begins to crumble. Charles forces the room into an uncomfortable realization by drawing a sharp, undeniable line between two very different basketball worlds. If LeBron's calculated moves get a green light, why does everyone lose their mind when David Falk speaks the unvarnished truth? Charles isn't hunting for headlines or chaos. He is simply demanding that we apply the same yardstick to every single player. If you're going to champion LeBron's mercenary tactics, you're logically bound to swallow the hard truths from those who see through. Instead, we witness a firestorm of anger the moment someone audits LeBron's path, which ironically validates Charles's entire point. In this arena, respect is earned through grit, not engineering. Loading the dice is a far cry from conquering the odds. When voices like Falk's peel back the curtain, LeBron's faithful begin to panic rather than constructing a logical, sound defense. Given the undeniable fact that he manufactured his rosters to seize 4 championships, how do you find any genuine respect there? Why does he get a free pass for that? Seriously, how is that allowed? By defending him, you're essentially conceding he rigged the deck to win. So, how does that command any real reverence? Is that the stance? That manufacturing a super team is irrelevant to the legacy? Or are we just ignoring the facts? This total vacuum of reason becomes the next target in Charles Tammany's relentless breakdown of the current basketball narrative. He calls it exactly as he sees it. LeBron's disciples and logic are blood rivals. This isn't a jab, it's a diagnosis. According to Charles, this community has anchored its reality in sentimental fever dreams rather than cold, hard, objective evidence. They sidestep the tough questions, weaponize isolated statistics, and conjure convenient fairy tales whenever LeBron faces a real challenge. Charles's beef isn't with the player himself, but with a fan base allergic to accountability or even a whiff of critique. That brand of mindless worship is exactly what is poisoning the well of basketball conversation and eroding all actual discourse. Once logic exits the building, only tribalism remains. In that vacuum, real debate dies, and that's exactly what Charles is protecting. He is pleading for fans to reconnect with sanity, to weigh greatness against ironclad principles instead of fleeting, blinded emotions. Until that shift happens, this whole dialogue remains fractured beyond repair. Everything must begin and end with sound logic. Logic and the LeBron faithful are like sworn enemies on a battlefield. They truly cannot stand the sight of one another. The ultimate punchline in this whole scenario is their unshakable belief that they are actually the smartest people in the room. In a total offensive, Charles Tammany deconstructs every single pro-LeBron argument ever thrown against the ghost of Michael Jordan. He argues these claims aren't built on substance, but on social media hype, fanboy feelings, and deep-seated personal bias. Charles has endured every excuse and every media spin imaginable, and he finds the entire structure to be completely hollow. He isn't trying to erase LeBron's box scores, he's attacking the flimsy logic used to place him above his airness. If the very ground you are standing on is rotten, your final verdict cannot be trusted for even a single second. This debate has been drowned in static, used to fabricate a modern myth. Charles is finally planting his flag here. If you want a seat at this table, bring facts and context. Otherwise, you're just parroting a lie for digital clout. I've sat through every possible pitch for why LeBron belongs on the same pedestal as Michael or even right behind him. Believe me, I have heard every single variation of that story at this point. And of that mountain of claims, not a single one makes a lick of sense. It's all just empty noise and theater. After the dust settles from Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, and Charles Tammany, one singular truth remains standing. You don't get to crown yourself. LeBron might be a physical marvel, but he does not get to write his history. The mantle of the greatest of all time demands a heavy price that most are simply not prepared to pay. It requires a legacy built on silence. Jordan never said it, Kobe never had to, even Kareem let the game speak. Only Muhammad Ali possessed the stature to claim that title, not for his fists but for what he gave to humanity. The king's inner circle is blind to the truth. You cannot simply manufacture a legend and expect the world to bow down. Immortality is forged through grit, and validated by the raw, unforced reverence of the culture. Until he grasps this, the ultimate throne among the gods remains a peak he'll never conquer. If this breakdown hit home, smash that like and sub to NBA Showdown for more fire. The most unfiltered basketball gospel on the internet is just getting started. Don't blink.